American movies about World War II are famous for their formulaic inclusiveness. The patrol has a mechanic from Brooklyn, a farmhand from Nebraska, a teacher from Seattle, and so on. Traditionally, French films have been a bit more homogeneous. That changes definitively with Days of Glory, the new film by Rachid Bouchareb, winner of the Best Actor Award at the Cannes Film Festival for its entire ensemble. It tells the story of 4 North African soldiers who chose to fight for France. Canapé goes on patrol with the winners.
Donc ce que je voulais dire, c'est qu'à un moment, je me suis senti, on s'est tous sentis dans notre chair l'envie d'ouvrir un chapitre de l'histoire de France. Parce qu'on s'inclut totalement dans l'histoire de France et notre place est totalement en France. En tout cas, la mienne, elle l'est, comme pour tous ces acteurs autour de la table. Et comme vous disiez tout à l'heure, pourquoi ce film aujourd'hui? Parce qu'aujourd'hui, comme disait Jamel tout à l'heure, et puis certains des acteurs, on était prêts à témoigner et on est devenu, je dirais, une sensibilité qui tout d'un coup commence à prendre de l'énergie et de la force pour s'inscrire dans la cinématographie française, puis la cinématographie mondiale, dans le cinéma, je dirais, entre guillemets, historique.
Vive la France!
Ce soir, il faut qu'on soit là-haut. Et même mort, on y sera. Allez les gars!
On est en train de changer le destin de la France. Il est temps que les choses, elles changent pour nous aussi.
J'ai lu le scénar et j'ai pris une leçon d'histoire. Ce que mon prof d'histoire m'avait pas raconté, qui m'a jamais dit, bah lui me l'a dit dans son scénario. Et après je me suis investi, je parle pas l'arabe, moi, ma mère est française, mon père est algérien. Donc il a fallu 3 jours avant le tournage, il m'a dit il faut qu'on parle en arabe. Donc j'ai dit d'accord, on va y aller. Et puis tous les jours, Jamel, Rochdi, tout le monde me donnait les expressions, le vrai mot, quoi, pour parler bien en arabe, pour pas passer pour un con.
Quand on travaille avec un mec comme Rachid, ça paraît tout de suite évident, c'était viscéral chez lui. Il avait un besoin, comme tous les films qu'il a abordés, d'exorciser quelque chose. Et là, avec cette histoire, ce qui m'a, moi, vraiment le plus séduit, j'étais pas tout à fait, j'étais pas au fait de cette page de l'histoire dans le détail. Je savais certaines choses. On nous avait beaucoup plus parlé des tirailleurs sénégalais que des tabors marocains, par exemple, à l'école. Mais quand il est venu me voir et qu'il m'a proposé cette histoire, il m'a expliqué qu'il n'y a pas si longtemps, c'était pas envisageable. C'était même impossible. Et aujourd'hui, il y a des protagonistes avec lesquels c'est jouable. Il m'a parlé de Sami Bouadjila, de Sami Nasseri, des acteurs qui sont là devant vous, de son expérience. Et d'un coup, c'était réalisable. 4 acteurs avec le passé qu'on a, l'origine qu'on a tous, les choses par lesquelles on est passé tous, on a tous des parcours différents et aujourd'hui on se retrouve tous à défendre cette histoire. Je trouvais ça noble. C'est la raison pour laquelle moi j'ai suivi Rachid.
Écoutez, j'ai pensé qu'à la guerre on gagnerait les mêmes droits que nos frères d'armes français. On se bat tous ensemble contre Hitler pour la liberté, l'égalité et la fraternité. On est en train de changer le destin de la France. Il est temps que les choses, elles changent pour nous aussi.
C'est pas la merde, hein. Que tu cherches depuis le début. T'es un agitateur, oh putain de merde.
Les Français se couronnent les premiers. Ensuite, c'est vous, les pieds noirs. Et nous, les indigènes, on nous oublie.
C'est comme ça, tu peux pas comprendre. Alors tu fermes ta gueule et tu dégages.
Pardon. Sergent-chef.
Il faut aussi savoir que notre histoire est chargée de frustration. Je sais que nos arrière-grands-parents sont battus pour la France, nos grands-parents ont été appelés pour la reconstruire. Mon père a balayé les rues de Paris. Le 21 avril, quand Jean-Marie Le Pen a failli passer, on a été encore très échaudés. Mais en aucun cas, ils ont gardé un esprit de revanche. Si c'était à refaire, ils le referaient tous, sans exception. Ils se battraient de la même manière pour la France, avec le même engouement. Aujourd'hui, moi, je suis français et fier de l'être, et je suis conscient que, en faisant ce film, on raconte quelque chose, mais en aucun cas, on veut rester sur cette amertume. Ce qu'on entend dans les débats télévisés, quand on nous essaye de nous expliquer les bienfaits de la colonisation, on ne veut même pas rentrer dans ce débat-là. C'est des gens qui se sont battus pour la France et qui aujourd'hui n'attendent rien en retour.
Où on en est aujourd'hui, on représente les enfants de tous ces Abdelkader qui continuent l'aventure. En étant français et en étant là. C'est simplement, nous on représente une jonction entre là et là-bas. Nous on représente une mémoire qui existe. On n'est pas amnésique. Même si on ne le connaît pas, ce qu'on ne nous a pas appris et qu'on découvre au jour le jour. Pour ma part, je découvre tout ça via mon métier. Oui, forcément, on est politique quand on a la gueule qu'on a et qu'on vit en France et qu'on fait le métier qu'on fait. Parce que on témoigne, parce qu'on s'inscrit dans une histoire ou un pan d'histoire qui est emblématique. La preuve, on en parle. Mais du verre à moitié plein ou du verre à moitié vide, on est le verre à moitié plein. C'est-à-dire que moi, je le vois comme ça. On avance. Ce sont des questions qui nous ont été posées il y a longtemps, auxquelles on continue de répondre et on continuera à répondre jusqu'au moment où elles seront audibles, compréhensibles, parce qu'on est dans la même longueur d'onde. Et pour ça, il faut retrouver notre histoire commune.
On libère le pays et on rentre chez nous.
Toute la France vous regardera et se rappellera de vous.
Cette fois, je vous jure, Wallah, on aura ce qu'on mérite.
The November 9th, 1959 cover of Life magazine features a picture of Marilyn Monroe caught in midair as she jumps. The photographer was Latvian-born Philippe Alsman, whose other jumping subjects include Richard Nixon and the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Alsman specialized in celebrity portraits with unusual features. One of his favorite subjects was the French comic Fernandel, whose memorable face could jump in any direction. Alsman's daughter Irene talks with Canapé about the new book of Fernandel photos, simply titled The Frenchman.
How it happened was funny because my father was having a bite to eat in a restaurant, and on the way out he bumped into Fernandel. And he thought, oh, there's my old friend, and he shook his hand vigorously, and he said, how are you, Fernandel? Comment ça va? And Fernandel said, well, I'm fine. I'm going to Canada, and I'll be back in 2 days in New York. And suddenly my father thought, I don't know this man. I just saw 100 movies he was in, but I never met him in my life. He thought it was an old friend, and he blushed and quickly ran out of the restaurant with my mother. Then he told my mother, you know, Fernandel is fantastic, and my mother said, you should photograph him, Philippe, and she was always his inspiration. He said, but people in America don't know Fernandel, and she said, well, do something, make it interesting. And Philippe said, well, why don't I make an interview with him, and I'll photograph him, ask him a question, and his face will tell the answer. my favorite is the one where he says, "What do you think of the international situation?" And there's a funny expression I won't do that is timeless, because as usual, the international situation is never good. They became friends, and I think he photographed him 2 or 3 times, not too many times, but enough times for us to visit him on my first trip when I went to Europe. I was 17, and we were driving from Paris to Rome, and we stopped in Marseille, where he had his villa. It was called 1000 Roses, which is 1,000 roses. And we met his son, and there's a picture of me on the same bench where my father was sitting, and my mother took the picture of Philippe and Fernandel. But I sat there with my sister, and it's funny because Philippe said to Fernandel, "You know, your son looks just like you." And Fernandel got so angry, he said, "But Philippe, my son is handsome." And, you know, with his 48 teeth smile, he's known as the horse face, and he was very insulted. Philippe was photographing not only for Life, for many, many magazines. He was asked at one point to photograph comedians. So to make them different, he decided to make them jump. And he noticed that every comedian jumped in character. That is to say, that their personality showed when they were jumping. So he decided to ask different people to jump. He had the courage, or you say chutzpah in New York, to ask Richard Nixon to jump, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor to jump. Of course, all the entertainers, Marilyn, Brigitte, and Lola Brigida, all jumped like child women. There's a page in the book. And you can tell a lot from a person's jump. That was 1959, way before body language was discovered. He photographed probably his most famous pictures of Dali and Einstein were done before Fernandel. And, but his most famous pictures are of Dali and the Dali Atomicus with the cats jumping. And all not digitalized, all done on the spot with 3 people throwing 3 cats, 1 person throwing a bucket of water, and Dali jumping all on the count of 3. And my mother holding up a chair, which on one of the shots hid Dali's face, but we did it 28 times just to get the perfect picture. And somebody was mopping the floor because it was all wet.
It's an old observation that some people love reading the Bible because the devil is such a compelling villain, much more interesting than the hero God. Among fictional villains, cannibalistic Hannibal Lecter, who first appeared on the screen in Manhunter, but was made famous by The Silence of the Lambs, continues to fascinate as a perfectly modern devil. His latest appearance is as a young man in Hannibal Rising. Canapé catches the young French actor Gaspard Ulliel, whom international audiences discovered in A Very Long Engagement, for a chat about his leading role as the young flesh-eater.
I was a bit frightened because it was a bit tricky, because it's a great responsibility. It's a lead part, and it's not in my own language, so it's really different. And the role, obviously, the part was really complex, especially going through the same path as Anthony Hopkins. Coming after him is not something really easy.
Is your name Hannibal Lecter? Do you recall the events that led to your family's murder? The little boy Hannibal died out in that snow. He was raised in a work camp.
Let's hear you scream, little master.
What he is now, there's no word for it.
I told myself that the thing was not to try to imitate him, but try to do something different. But of course, the audience would look and would think about Anthony Hopkins. So I observed him a lot through the three first Hannibal Lecter's movies. And the idea was to pick a few details from his character and then mix it to my own recipe.
Do you have any guilty knowledge of the death of Paul Momoun?
Guilty knowledge?
I found them. The men who killed my family.
He was killed in the woods where your family died.
His face had been eaten.
When people go and sit down in that theatre, they haven't got their heads muddied by, oh, he played this in such and such, he played that in such and such. We had the opportunity to cast a number of international stars, a number of very, very good people, and one of the reasons that I didn't was not because they're not good actors, was not because they wouldn't have been good in the role, it was simply because there was already a recognition there. And if you're trying to talk about, you know, the birth of this monster, I wanted a clean sheet in a way, and Gaspar provided that clean sheet.
Now tell me, Inspector, you lost family in the war.
Yes.
Did you catch who did it?
No.
Then we are both suspects.
The discovery with Gaspar was a fluke, where Dino was watching a movie that Gaspar was in. He said, "That's young Hannibal." And he was an unknown. He had just done a very long engagement, but Dino was actually watching another small film that he had done.
My studies are fascinating and absorb me completely. Yet I still find myself thinking about my sister and the men who took her from me.
When the name Agnes meets the letter B, the result is a fashion label known around the world for defining a special style of postmodern casual. Everything in the boutique has the designer's special touch. But where does that touch come from? It's simple. Agnès B never lets herself be isolated from the other arts. She knows artists of all ages and media, but makes a special effort to look for rising talents. A lifelong movie fan, she also produces auteur works for filmmakers she admires. Canapé talks to Agnès B on a recent trip to New York, one of her favorite cities.
I've been, designing for quite a long time. I love to do my work, I love to design, but I have other passions. Art, contemporary art, and cinema and music. But cinema now, I'm very much implicated in the story because I'm a producer now. And I started loving cinema when I was 17. I was married with Christian Bourgois, the great French publisher, who published a lot of American literature in French. And he took me to cinema. He was my husband at the time. And so I learned. It was a great school for cinema to go with him. I've been helping Gaspar Noé to finish I Stand Alone and Claire Denis, to finish Trouble Every Day. So finally I thought it would be better for me to be at the beginning of the stories. That's why I did this film company, which is called Love Streams. We have been producing the last two, Patrice Chéreau, his brother, and Gabriel. We are finishing the editing of Mr. Lonely, the last Harmony Corinne's movie, which is going to be pure beauty, because I saw some scenes already edited. And I love Harmony. I think he's so smart, so poetical, so quick, and so much talented. I make with Jake Perlin, from the BAM at the Thomas bar, which is in front of the BAM, and we start talking cinema. I didn't know him before. And after 1 hour of discussion, he said to me, please do a program. I said, okay. Oh, if I do a program here, it would be American. I want to show American movies to American people. It's part of my education, you know, and there are so many great movies that people don't see or don't know, or even young people. So I've been showing the other day Reflections in the Golden Eye with Marlon Brando and Elizabeth Taylor, and it's so crazy movie, so incredible, you know, acting. So I thought it was a good example. Among the list that I sent to Jake, I sent a list of maybe 30 movies, and some we couldn't find the copies, some they had been showing quite recently. So at the end we have a list of 9 movies which have been shown. I have to do my own job too, because I still design everything for Agnes B. Men, women, and I have no studio. I can't put my name on something I didn't design myself. So I work quickly, much, and I like it. I publish a newspaper, a free newspaper, that I make with artists every, like 7 times a year, and we make 100,000 copies. And last night it was presented at the MoMA. It was Damien Hirst. That's why I was in New York too. So it's a great honor for me to see this free newspaper at the MoMA. So I do a lot of interesting things, and it's always elective affinities, I say. That's what drives my life, I think.
In France, she's simply known as La Binoche. For global moviegoers, she's the Academy Award-winning actress from The English Patient, as well as the star of Bleu and Chocolat. In her new film, Breaking and Entering, written and directed by Anthony Minghella, Juliette Binoche takes on another nationality. She plays a Bosnian refugee living in a rundown housing complex in today's sprawling, ever-changing London. The multiple award winner talks to Canapé about her latest challenge.
My main preparation was to go to Sarajevo and meet with the Bosnian people and understand the complexity of the situation. You know, the war-wise, you know, what happened. Really understanding the layers of the history, the conflicts, and what it is to be an immigrant, and how do you survive as an immigrant, that in your own country you were a pianist or a scientist or a teacher, and then suddenly you become in another country a tailor, a cleaning lady, and how your life can change completely because of a war, because of other people's decisions.
Will Francis was on the verge of the most ambitious project of his career. But a random crime
Come here!
will pull him into a world he knows nothing about.
Oi!
What happened?
I didn't fall, Mum.
I telephoned earlier about my jacket.
That's right.
Your son, is he studying to be an architect? I'm an architect. We use those scale figures. They're from Japan. It's hard to find in London.
He must get them from school.
What have you been up to? Stealing again? Next time you're going down.
What's this?
It's a customer. He's a good man.
You think everyone's good? No one's good.
What is it?
I'm in such trouble.
Will! A lady's looking for you!
She says she's gonna talk to him, do some sort of deal.
Now, an unexpected attraction.
What are you thinking?
I was thinking, are you married?
My grandmother was a Polish immigrant, and she had a Polish accent when she was speaking in French, and she was a tailor. So for me, when I read that, I was like taken aback, because I didn't expect it to be so close somehow, so far, but so close at the same time. And for me, it's this film was one of the reasons I wanted to do it is sort of a dedication to her, because she's my root, and I felt like, well, that's a great opportunity to say thank you.
What is it you want from me? Because you can't just walk into someone's life and knock on their door and kiss them. You cannot do that.
I know that. What? What? What's the
Or
matter?
use me to hurt someone else.
What, you mean live? That's the last thing I want. Promise you what? What, promise you I'm not flirting? I know what that is.
I don't believe you.
I know what that is, and this is not what it is.
I don't...
I can't talk anymore. I want to go somewhere and not talk. Not talk.
Juliet is definitely one of the most inspiring people I've ever sat back and watched. She has an ability to reach sort of liberating freedom and fearlessness so easily, and with brilliant sort of grounded barometer of reality checks to basing it in something true and something real and focused. But she's also great fun. She's not sort of sitting with a towel on her head, you know, in some zone. She's absolutely present and there, and very much an engaging, fun member of the crew that is just capable of, I think, anything you could throw at her.
I met lots of great actresses, and maybe they would have been brilliant in the film. And partly, of course, casting is a failure of nerve of directors. You know, I mean, I think that I love Juliet. I mean, these are, you know, if you said to me today, okay, here's the day's work. You've got Juliette Binoche and Jude Law, and I'd think, well, my life suddenly, you know, feels great. It feels great. She is absolutely the best actress imaginable. I mean, just a miracle to me. It's just a complete miracle.
Mothers do anything to protect their children.
That's what this is, right?
If anyone comes after my son, I'll kill them!